Good morning and welcome to my class. I'm Ms. Vandana Gupta, Assistant Professor of Mathematics. So this is my third lecture in your class. In my last lecture, we have started with shares. Let me quickly revise what we have done in the last class and then we will continue further. So we are doing the Unit 1 shares and mutual fund. In that shares we have started. So this introduction of shares, what is face value, what is market price, all these things I have already done in the last class. Let me quickly revise it. Share is the smallest unit of the total share capital of the company. There is a term associated with share, which is called as a face value. What is face value? It is the value of a share, or it is the worth of a share. Okay? Generally, the share face value is 10 or 100. Okay? Then every shareholder gets the profit of the company, okay, some share of the profit, that is called as the dividend. So dividend is calculated as a percentage of the face value. So 8% rate of dividend, the meaning is if the face value of a share is 100, then dividend on one share is ₹8. That is what is the meaning of 8% share. How do you calculate the total dividend? First, you calculate the dividend on one share and multiply it by number of shares. You will get the total dividend. So how do you calculate the dividend on one share? Suppose, for example, in this case, 8% is the rate of dividend. That means face value is 100. So dividend is 8%. So 8% of what is the dividend on one share? Dividend on one share is what? 8% of face value. So 8% of 100. What is 8% of 100? It is 8 upon 100 into 100. So that will give you ₹8. So it is 8 is the share on dividend on one share. When you multiply it by number of shares, suppose you've got 100 shares of the company, then 8 into 100 will give you the total dividend. Okay. So dividend, total dividend is dividend on one share multiplied by number of shares. So this is the dividend on one share. Rate of dividend into face value. You see here, rate of dividend is 8%. So 8 upon 100. So rate of dividend, that is 8 upon 100 into face value. So this much will give you the dividend on one share. When you multiply it by number of shares, you will get the total dividend. So this gives you a formula to calculate the total dividend. So total dividend is rate of dividend into face value into number of shares divided by 100. Then the other thing associated with share is market value. See, market value is the value, the price of the share at which it is available in the market. Market value and face value may not be same. If the market value is same as face value, we say that share is at par. If market value is more than face value, then we say that share is above par, or it is available at premium rate may available. If market value is less than face value, then we say that share is below par, or it is available at a discount. So for example, suppose the face value is 100 and the market price is say 150. So what will you say? You will say that it is available at premium. Market value is more, correct? And if the market price is say 80, then what you will say? You will say that it is available at a discount or below par, because it is less than face value, correct? So this is what is the meaning of the above par, at par, and below par. Then I mentioned you before also, that whenever you purchase or sell the shares, you have to pay the brokerage. Okay, so the purchase price of a share is market price plus brokerage, because whenever you are purchasing the shares, you are not just giving the market price, you are also paying the brokerage. So whenever, so for you, the purchase price will be market price plus brokerage. And when you sell the shares, you get the money, but you will not get all of the money. From that, brokerage will be deducted. So selling price is market price minus brokerage. Okay. So remember one thing, when you are finding the purchase price, brokerage has to be added in the market price. And when you are finding the selling price, brokerage has to be deducted or subtracted from the market price. Okay. And brokerage is always calculated as a percentage of market value. So for example, suppose the brokerage is 2%. Suppose the brokerage is 2%. What is the meaning of that? Brokerage of 2%. The meaning is if market price is 100, then how much rupees you are giving as a brokerage? You are giving 2 rupees as a brokerage. So that means if you are purchasing a share, how much will be the purchase price of that share? Market price 100, and in that you will add 2 rupees. So 100 plus 2, 102. So what will be the purchase price? Purchase price will become 102. Similarly, if you are selling the shares and paying this much brokerage, 2%, what will be the selling price of that? Market price is 100, and how much is the brokerage? 2. So when you sell, you are not going to get the entire 100 rupees in your hand. You will get after subtracting the brokerage. So 2 rupees you have paid brokerage. So selling price will be 98. So while purchasing, you are adding the brokerage. So 102 will become the cost of that share. And while selling, you will not get all of 100 rupees. From that, brokerage will be removed and you will get 98 rupees. Okay. Okay. Then, how to find out the amount invested? Amount invested. See, when you buy the shares, you invest your amount. Okay, so amount invested is purchase price of one share multiplied by number of shares. Similarly, if you have to calculate the number of shares purchased, how will you calculate the number of shares purchased? When you are purchasing, that means you are investing the amount. So it is amount invested divided by purchase price of one share. Similarly, amount received. When you will receive the amount, जब आप शेयर्स को बेचोगे, सेल करोगे, तो अमाउंट रिसीव्ड इज सेलिंग प्राइस ऑफ वन शेयर multiplied by number of shares sold. And from this only you can calculate number of shares sold. So this formula has come from this only. So number of shares sold is equal to amount received divided by selling price of one share. Okay. Now I think this question we have solved in the last class. Once again we will do it. Read the question. Radha owned 300 shares of a company of face value rupees 100 each. The dividend declared by the company was 8%. Find the amount Radha will get as a dividend. Whenever a question is given to you, always try to read it very slowly. Try to understand it. If you don't understand in one attempt, read it twice, thrice, and slowly, and write down what are the given things and what is asked to calculate. So Radha owned 300 shares of a company. So what is given to you here? Number of shares sold. The number of shares she is having. Okay. So number of shares is 300. So write down here. Given thing. Given number of shares is 300. Face value of rupees 100 each. That means what is the face value? Face value is 100. And company declared how much dividend? 8%. So rate of dividend is 8%. Find the amount Radha will get as dividend. So what you have to find out here? We have to find the total dividend. Okay. So as you know, what is the formula for total dividend? Write down the formula. Total dividend is equal to rate of dividend into face value into number of shares divided by 100. What is rate of dividend? It is 8%. So 8. Face value is 100. Put all the values here. Number of shares, how many? 300. Divided by 100 and 100 will get cancelled. So you will be left with 2400. All these calculations you can do by calculator. So what is the total dividend she received? 2004. So this was a very, very simple problem. Yes. Go to the next one. Second example. Ramesh invested in shares of PSZ Industries of nominal value rupees 10. See, in this problem, instead of the word face value, the word nominal value is used. So as I told you, par value, face value, nominal value, they are all same. He received rupees 142.5 as total dividend at the rate of 9.5%. Find the number of shares he bought. Okay. Again, read the question and try to write down what are the given things. So what is given? Ramesh invested in shares of PSZ Industries of nominal value rupees 10. That means you are given face value is 10. So immediately write down face value is equal to 10. He received this much amount as total dividend. So what is the total dividend here? 142.5. Look at here. He received the total dividend as 142.5. So total dividend is 142.5. And what is the rate of dividend? 9.3. Whenever the percentage is given, that means it's the rate of dividend. So rate of dividend is 9.5%. Find the number of shares he bought. How many shares he was having? Okay. So you have to find the number of shares. So what we do, whatever thing we have to find out, we call it as X. So let the number of shares be X. So in this problem, this is exactly the opposite of the previous problem. In the previous problem, you see the total dividend was asked to calculate, find the total. We have to find the total. And here in this problem, total dividend is already given to you and you are asked to find the number of shares. So let us write down your formula for total dividend. Total dividend is equal to rate of dividend into face value into number of shares divided by. Now in this formula, whatever you have given, you just put it in the formula. So you are given here total dividend, how much? 142.5. So in place of total dividend, write down 142.5. Okay. What is rate of dividend? It is given 9.5. So rate of dividend is 9.5. Into face value. Face value, how much? 10. Into number of shares, you have to calculate. Find the number of shares. And that you have denoted by X. Let the number of shares be X. So in place of number of shares, write down X. Divide by 100. Okay. So very first thing is write down the formula. The second step is put the values in the formula, whatever is given to you. Whatever is asked to you, you call it as X. So number of shares, you call it as X. So in place of that, we will write down X. Now, let us solve this equation. So 9.5 into 10 divided by 100. This much if you do by using the calculator, how much you will get? You are allowed to use the calculator. So do this calculation. I'm telling you all the, because in 11th and 12th, you were not having mathematics. So I'm giving you the simple way to solve these equations. Okay, so we will keep, we will solve 9.5 into 10 and divide it by 100. So you will get here 0.95. And this X I will keep as it is. And this is 142.5. Okay. What I have done, this left hand side I keep as it is. 9.5 into 10 divided by 100. This much, if you calculate, you will get 0.95. Okay. Now I have to find the value of X. So what we have to do, see between these two, there is a multiplication symbol. So if you have to find out the value of X, this term you have to shift to the other side. So when you shift, it will divide. Therefore, what is the value of x? 142.5 divided by 0.95. Find out how much it is. So 142.5. Use your calculator. 0.95. That will give you 150. Okay. Therefore, the value of x is 150. So that means number of shares is equal to 150. Remember that here the answer will not have decimal. Okay. Therefore, number of shares is equal to. So I hope you have understood this. What is the method? Write down the formula first. Put all the values what is given to you, which you have to calculate. Call it as x. So here in this problem you have to calculate number of shares. So call it as x. In place of number of shares, put x. Then you will arrive at a question at an equation in x, and you have to solve that equation. So when you solve this equation for x, this term has to go to the other side. So it will divide. So 142.5 divided by 0.95, that will give you 150. So you get the value of x as 150. X was number of shares. So number of shares is equal to 150. I hope you have understood this. Let us go to the next one. Third question. Find the face value of a 8% share if rupees 8,000 were invested to purchase shares at a market price of rupees 125 and a total dividend of rupees 512 was obtained. See, this problem, there is so many things. Don't get tensed up. What you have to do is read the question slowly and write down what are given things. So whenever you start with solution, always write down what is given. Find the face value of a 8% share. 8% share means the rate of dividend is 8%. This phrase 8% share, the meaning of this phrase is 8% is the rate of dividend. So you are given rate of dividend as 8%. If rupees 8,000 were invested to purchase shares. So what is this 8,000? It is the amount invested to purchase the shares. Look at here, it's given 8,000 rupees were invested. Invested मतलब आप कब invest करते हो जब आप खरीदते हो shares, correct? To purchase the shares. So 8,000 is the amount invested. Okay. Rupees 8,000 were invested to purchase shares at a market price of rupees 125. That means what is given to you in this question? What is this 125? It is the market price. So market price is 125. And a total dividend of rupees 512 was obtained. So what is this 512? It is the total dividend. Okay. So what we have done, we have read the question and we have written down what are the given things. So, for example, here, you are given rate of dividend as 8%. So I have written here 8%. 8,000 were amount invested. So amount invested is 8,000. Purchase to purchase share at market price is 125. So this 125 is the market price. And what is the total dividend? Total dividend is 500. Okay. What you have to find out? You have to find the face value. You have to find the face value. So as I mentioned before also in the previous problem, whatever you have to find out, you call it as X. So let the face value be rupees X. Okay. Now let us, because in this problem, total dividend is involved. So write down the formula for total dividend. So let us write the formula for total dividend. What is your formula for total dividend? Total dividend is equal to rate of dividend into face value into number of shares divided by, this is your formula, correct? You are given here total dividend, how much? Total dividend is given as 512. So you know this 500. See, in this formula, there are four things. One is total dividend. First, second is rate of dividend. Third is face value. And fourth is number of shares. So out of these four things, if you are given any three, you can find out the fourth one, correct? So in this, what is given to you? Total dividend is given to you as 512. So you are given this. Rate of dividend, yes, that is also given to me as 8. Face value, no, that is not given to me. We have to find the face value, correct? So that we are calling it as X. So this we have to calculate. Number of shares, are you given number of shares here? No, you are not given here number of shares. It is not given to you directly, but it is given that amount 8,000 were invested to purchase shares at the market price of 100. यानी 8,000 रुपए आपने इन्वेस्ट किए और एक का प्राइस कितना था शेयर का 120 एंड देयर वर नो ब्रोकरेज इन्वॉल्वड हियर. अगर ब्रोकरेज नहीं है तो परचेज प्राइस एंड मार्केट प्राइस आर सेम. सी हियर, व्हाट इज द परचेज प्राइस? परचेज प्राइस इज एक्चुअली मार्केट प्राइस प्लस ब्रोकरेज. लेकिन जब ब्रोकरेज है ही नहीं तो परचेज प्राइस विल बी सेम एज मार्केट प्राइस, करेक्ट? इस प्रॉब्लम में परचेज प्राइस इज सेम एज मार्केट प्राइस. सो दैट इज व्हाट आई एम राइटिंग हियर. I have written here. Here purchase price is same as market price because there is no brokerage. Okay. So you are not given number of shares purchased, but you can calculate it. How will you calculate number of shares purchased? You know that number of shares purchased is equal to amount. जब आप purchase करते हैं तो आप amount को invest करते हैं, correct? So it is amount invested divided by purchase price of one share. But in this problem, purchase price is same as market price. So I can very well write down it as a market price. So instead of purchase price, I can write down the market price. Amount invested divided by market price. How much amount was invested? 8,000. What is the market price? 125. So 8,000 divided by 125. That will give me the number of shares purchased. So use your calculator and find out how much you will get. 8,000 divided by 125. So that gives you 64. So that means how many shares are purchased? 64. So though you were not given here directly the number of shares, but you were provided with the information that amount invested was 8,000 and the market price is 125. So when you divide amount invested by market price, you will get number of shares purchased. Now let us go back to the same formula. So now you know number of shares also, you know rate of dividend also, and you know total dividend also. So put everything in the formula and you will get the answer. So what is total dividend? Total dividend is how much? 512. So this is 512. What is rate of dividend? It is 8. Face value, you have to find out, and you are calling it as X, 8 into X. And what is number of shares? Just now we have calculated number of shares. How much? 64. So this is 64 divided by. Okay. Now this problem is similar to the previous problem. You have to solve this equation and find the value of X. So let me write down this. 512 equal to 8 into X into 64 divided by 100. So continue this. I'm continuing this from the previous slide. So 512 equal to 8 into this value we have to calculate. Eight into X into number of shares is 64 divided by 100. So this is what I have written. Okay, on the previous, next slide. 8 into X into 64 divided by 100. 8 into X into 60. So now I have to solve this equation and find the value of X. So what we will do, left hand side you keep as it is and simplify the right hand side. So 8 into 64 divided by 100. So that will give you 5.12, and this x I keep as it is. So what will be the value of x? It is 512 divided by 5.1. Find out how much it is. That gives you 100. So you got the value of x as 100. But what was your x? Look at here. X we have assumed as the face value. So therefore, face value is equal to 100. Face value. I hope you have understood. So, see, sometimes students get confused and they ask what formula is to be used. So remember that whenever the total dividend is given, it is an indication that you have to use the formula for total dividend. This mainly in our problem, we are using this formula, total dividend. Okay. So total dividend is given to you. So first of all, write down the formula of total. And then see whatever things are given to you. In this formula, there are 4 things. Out of those 4, if you are given any 3, you can find out the 4th one. So total dividend is given to you 512. Rate of dividend is given to you 8. Face value you have asked to find out. So you will call it as X. And number of shares is not given to you, but indirectly you are given that the amount invested is 8,000 and market price is 125. So making use of these two, you can find out number of shares, which I have done here. Number of shares purchased is amount invested divided by market price. That gives me 64. So now I know this also, number of shares. Put everything in the formula and solve the equation. Equations also is not very difficult to solve. Just what you have to do is, first you put this left hand side as it is, and here in other than x, whatever are the numbers, you calculate them first. So 8 into 64 divided by 100. Use your calculator, you will get 5.1. And this x you keep as it is. Now you have to find out the value of this x. So this number has to be shifted to the other side. When you shift, it will divide. So x is equal to 512 divided by 5.12, which will give you 100. And x we have assumed to be the face value. So the face value is equal to 100. I hope you have understood this question. So you can see that we have solved 3 problems so far. In the first problem, keep it here. See, in the first problem, you have calculated total dividend. You were given rate of dividend, face value, and number of shares, and you have found out total dividend. In the second problem, you see, you were given total dividend, you were given rate of dividend, you were given face value, and you have calculated number of shares. Okay, 1, 2, and 3 things were given, and you have calculated number of shares. And in this third problem, you were given total dividend, you were given rate of dividend, and number of shares information was given, so you have calculated, and face value you have asked and you have calculated. So out of these 4 things, if any 3 things are given, the 4th one can be calculated. Let us go to the next problem. Look at this question. Hitesh had 400 preference shares and 200 ordinary shares of a company at rupees 10 each. That means the face value is 10. The annual dividend was 8% on preference shares and 14% on ordinary shares. So he is having 2 different types of shares, and the dividend rate of dividend is also different. For preference share, it is 8%, and for ordinary shares, it is 14%. You have to find out what is the total dividend of Hitesh. So you have to first find out the dividend on preference shares, then dividend on ordinary shares, and then add them. So first of all, what we will do, how many, we will first find the first. We will find total, dividend on we will find dividend on preference shares. So what is the dividend formula? So dividend on preference shares. On preference shares. What is that? Rate of dividend. How much is the rate of dividend on preference share? It is 8. Into what is the face value for both? It is 10. 10 into number of shares. How many preference shares he is having? 400. Divided by 100. Same formula. So this will give you 320. Correct? Rate of dividend is 8 on preference shares. Face value is 10. And the number of preference shares are 400. So 8 into 10 into 400 divided by 100. That gives you 320. Now find out dividend on ordinary shares. What is the rate of dividend on ordinary shares? 14% on ordinary shares. So here rate of dividend is 14. Face value is same as 10. And how many ordinary shares is having? 200 divided by 100. How much? 280. Correct? No? So what is his total dividend? Calculate the total dividend. So therefore, what is the total dividend? Total dividend will be the dividend on preference share plus dividend on ordinary shares. So 320 plus 280. How much? 600. So rupees 600 is the total dividend. So here in this problem, he was having two different types of shares, preference shares and ordinary shares. And the rate of dividends was different for both of them. And then you have to find out the total dividend on ordinary shares and preference shares. And then you have to add. So I hope you have understood this. So there are some more problems, but I think we don't have enough time to do them. So I'll give you the attendance link now. More problems we will solve in the next class. Thank you.